everyone, and thanks for listening to the Quality Hub, Chatting with ISO Experts. I'm your host, Xavier Francis, and today I'm here with Scott Dawson, President of Core Business Solutions, and Michael LeJeune, expert and host of the Game Changers for Government Contractors podcast, and also known for his frontline insights on market trends and strategy. Glad you both could join us today.
My pleasure, X.
Yeah, nice to be here, man.
Well, today's podcast is part of our Survive and Thrive series, the podcast dedicated to delivering practical strategies for small businesses. Our mission is to help you navigate these unprecedented times of change and uncertainty. Our episodes are packed with real-world advice from trusted industry experts tailored specifically for small business leaders like you. Thanks for joining us as we explore insights that can empower you and your business to not only survive, but truly thrive. Now, today's topic is government contracting in crisis. Survive now, win later. But before we get into the topic, let's learn a little bit about our guest and their journey. Can we start with you, Michael? Share a little bit about yourself and your podcast.
I was in the Army from 95 to 99, got out and got in the government contracting space because all my friends were getting out and becoming government contractors and buying new trucks and homes and all that kind of cool stuff. So I thought that was nice that we could actually afford things if we were government contractors. And got out, started doing that. And then quickly found myself running a small software company in the late 90s, early 2000, and learned sales and government contracting really from scratch. And me and my current business partner, Josh Frank, we actually met each other in early 2000s. We're working at the same company, learned how to do government contracting. He documented a lot of stuff. And then we kind of went our separate ways as we did different things in life. And about 11 years ago, we kind of came back together and we're like, hey, remember the stuff we did there? Why don't we do that for other people? And so we've been doing that since and just helping contractors learn the market and how to navigate it, how to sell. I run the podcast Game Changers for Government Contractors. Been doing that for almost 11 years. We've got somewhere in the millions of downloads or whatever.
That's
and
awesome.
Then we've written, I think, 6 Amazon best-selling books. My latest one is I'm New to Government Contracting. Where do I start? Yeah, we like creating a lot of content out there for folks, whether it's books, audio, or on LinkedIn. We do a lot of stuff on LinkedIn as well. So.
Awesome. Well, first off, thank you for your service. We really appreciate it and really appreciate you being here to talk to us about this. Give us a little bit of your insight. And Scott, how about you?
Well, I don't have all the content development background Michael does, but it's a pleasure to have Michael on this episode. I am president of Core Business Solutions, helping small businesses with compliance for the past 25 years. And now we're part of a larger organization, LRQA, which is a global assurance company, still focusing on helping small businesses with compliance and succeeding. But in this period of time that we're in right now, there's a lot of uncertainty and confusion and hesitation, and really hope Michael can help us think through this a little bit more.
Yeah, government contracting has certainly been kind of the rug's been pulled out a little bit, I would say, and trying to navigate a whole lot of things for people that are in that space. So really appreciate you both being here. I'm going to hand it off to Scott. You can ask your question. I'll interject and we'll get started.
Yeah, sounds great. So Michael, what's your take just generally on the climate right now in the government contracting space with all of the tariffs and government contract restructuring and GSA and all the other changes going on? What's your take?
Well, the raw take on it is it's all going to be okay. That's what I try to tell people all the time. Like, it's all going to be okay. You know, people don't realize that we're operating under the previous president's budget and what's going on, and money's been allocated and things are happening. Like, big changes will happen in October of 25. But in general, like, the market's always going to be there. The market's always going to do stuff. The market's always going to have a shift. Every time the presidency changes hands, every time Congress flip-flops hands, there's some amount of change. It's just a matter of where are the dollars going. The dollars are still there. The people that are most impacted are the people that have not followed our advice and other experts' advice for years of not diversifying their business portfolio, right?
Yeah.
Like the companies that were out there where 100% of their business was with USAID and all of their contracts got canceled, they were impacted, right?
Right.
There's other ones that focused on DEI solutions. They were impacted. And so if you have a balanced market approach where you've looked at different agencies, different types of work, this probably didn't even feel like a blip to you. I mean, I've got clients right now that are like, what are you talking about? Like, we are just completely growing. In fact, I have a client who she was solely DEI in what she was working on. And she just pivoted. And in 90 days, she reset her pipeline from 0 to 60 million in her pipeline in 90 days. Because she was like, hey, there's all these opportunities. I just need to pivot a little bit. So there's a lot in this market. I've got clients winning contracts every single day. It's just a matter of like kind of shutting your ears to the noise and saying, well, where is the money? What is going on? What is working? Like, there's shifts that are constantly happening in the government, in the market, in the world, and we just need to know how to pivot. And I think for folks that saw the COVID pivot and survived that, those folks have been positioned really well through this pivot, because there's really like 3 contractor mindsets, which we'll probably get into in a little bit. And those mindsets drive whether you are a success right now or whether you are just complaining all day long.
Oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. And I think your point that the money's still there and they're going to spend it or lose it, so they're going to spend it, is spot on. So what are those 3 mindsets, Michael, and where do people find themselves trapped, or can find themselves trapped into not being able to really move forward just because of the way they're thinking about the current situation?
Yeah, well, I think my favorite group is group number 1. It's the one that's always thriving despite the disruption. So they don't really care. They've diversified themselves. They're fairly nimble. They're proactive. They understand that the government's always going to change the rules, which they've been doing since day one, right? They're always going to change the rules, and they have to find a way to win. And that's their only focus when they get up in the morning. They're thriving despite anything that happens. I mean, and then there's group number 2. It's like they're always struggling. Like, it really doesn't matter, regardless of what you serve up right in front of them. They're going to find a way to complain, struggle, lose, complain about whatever it is, right? That's group number 2. They're always struggling. And then there are people that they're severely impacted, not because they did anything necessarily wrong. They just weren't following the right advice, like I was saying earlier, where they were overly dependent on an agency or a service or something, and they really only had one way to grow their business. And so, like, if you did learn how to do one thing really well, and then all of a sudden that got taken away, you're done. Like, for the companies that they only focused on their GSA schedule, or they only had 2 or 3 contracting officers, or whatever it was, they only had that 1 or 2 strategies. They're now looking back going, well, what do I do? And they're struggling to figure out what to do. And I'll tell you, the groups 2 and 3 may not survive.
Right.
How would you advise group 3 to start rethinking their position at a specific moment in time?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is, like, if you were overly dependent on an agency, I would go pull a report in the SAM data bank, see who buys what you sell, and then look at what are those top 3 agencies that are still buying what you sell. Because you can pull a report for the last 90 days, who's bought what I sell. And if you were overly dependent on a service that the government's not buying, take a look at another service or a product and say, okay, let me do that same research in the same data bank and see who's buying that. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is let's look at how they're buying it. Are they using GSA today? Are they likely to use GSA in the future? It's like, if you're in construction, it's still up in the air if construction is going to pivot and start using GSA.
Right.
But let's just assume they don't, right? But in almost every other category, it's going to pivot to GSA for the most part. And if they're not buying it that way, how else are they buying it? Are they buying it on purchase cards? Are they buying it under simplified acquisition? Are they buying it under contract vehicles that are going to get rolled into GSA? How are they buying your stuff, and who are they buying it from? If they were buying it from women-owned businesses 6 months ago, are they starting to pivot over to SDVOSBs, our veteran group, which is where we think things are going.
Okay.
And if you think that's going to happen in your agency, you start looking for teaming partners that are SDVOSB if you're not. And so who buys what you sell, how they buy what you sell, that's where you need to start with your market strategy. And then I would say the last thing is take a step back. And if what you sell is not being bought by the government, is this the time for you to get out and pursue the commercial world? Because maybe the commercial world's still buying it. But if the commercial world's not buying it anymore, because we're watching like the effects of like the DEI,
right,
where people are saying, even like Target are like, oh, we're going to back off of this. Okay, well, if everybody's going to back off of it, maybe you need to reinvent your company.
Yeah. So Michael, you brought up the increased use of GSA, at least as we see it in the news. What's behind that transition in your view, and what impact is that going to have on contractors?
Well, I think one of the things that's driving it is a very, I would consider it, stable program. It's been around for a long time,
yep.
But it's one of the most stable things that's out there. And I think the move to it is just like we've been dealing with all of this consolidation for years and years and years,
right.
Where it's just kind of being put on steroids at this point, where the government's saying, look, why are we duplicating this effort in all these ways? And isn't GSA designed to have pre-negotiated rates and enable faster purchasing and all these? Why isn't everything like that?
Right.
Why are we still doing all these other things? So I think it's a good thing that the government's looked at it and said, this is a giant waste of time the way we do a lot of procurement. If we shove stuff through GSA, it should make it faster.
Right.
Now, one of the impacts of that is going to be at some point over the next few months, a lot of people are going to realize they're completely out of the market if they don't have GSA.
Right.
And so what's going to happen? A flood of schedules are going to be done. Now, we've had a flood of schedules before, and it turned the processing time into like a 3-year battle,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
2-3 year
Wow.
battle. So that's coming. But the people that are getting in there now and getting it done, I think they're going to be way ahead of the game. And I think for the market, it should be a good thing. People need to understand how to use a GSA schedule. It's not like Amazon where you just get listed and people buy from you. You're still going to have to market and do all the stuff. But it's going to be like your ticket to the game. Like without it, it's going to be very hard for a lot of people to do business with the government. And like if you'd asked me in January, hey, does a client need GSA to be successful in the government? I'd have said no. And then as soon as this executive order came out, I was like, yeah, they need it.
Yeah.
Well, talking about things that you need, what about CMMC? That's coming up soon. It's getting close to roll out. And how do you feel about that?
So I probably have some of the most mixed emotions on CMMC of anybody you're going to talk to, because everybody's like, oh, it's a done deal now, Mike. It's in the FAR. It's in here. It's in there. Yeah. That doesn't mean that there won't be a class action lawsuit in the next 30 days,
right.
60 days, or right around the corner in 6 months. Thing that the government did wrong, in my opinion, with CMMC, level 2 and 3 work, the out-of-pocket money. And I think that is possibly by intention, maybe not. I don't know exactly. But I think that's going to cause a lot of lawsuits and issues when it's being enforced, because it hasn't been fully enforced.
That's right.
With teeth yet.
Yep.
And as of our discussion here, it's supposed to be. I think the story is yet to be finished on CMMC, if I had to look in a crystal ball.
But you would say that it's time to get rolling on it, regardless.
It's time to figure out what you're going to do. And if you're one of the companies that can't afford it, maybe you go buy a lawyer. You got to do something.
Yeah.
You can't just sit on the sidelines. And there's still a lot of people that I talk to, they say CMM what?
Right.
Like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
And for those who don't know, cybersecurity maturity model certification is CMMC. So,
Right.
Yeah. And it's important.
Yeah.
It's important that we safeguard stuff, but people think, well, I'm a janitor, it's not important. Well, are you a janitor at an NSA building that doesn't show up on the map?
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have those invoices with those addresses and do you have any of that stuff? Because you may have stuff that you think is not important. That's very important, because you can Google Earth some of the places that I've been and all you see is a patch of trees.
Right.
And I can tell you there's a 12-story building with 19 stories of basement or whatever it is, right? Like those things exist. And people know about that, right? I'm not giving away any secrets there.
Right.
But if you have location information, warehouse access, I mean, there's just so many things. In fact, the hospital that I used to go to in my small town, they had, I think it was over $500,000 stolen from them by people sending them invoices that they just started paying because somebody intercepted some invoice stuff and they just changed the banking info and they started getting the money. There's crazy stuff that happens in cybersecurity. So it's very important. And people need to pay attention to it.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's true. And both the GSA comments and the CMMC comments just points back to the need to diversify. But for those who just can't seem to find a way to step forward, what are some of the first couple of steps to get out of this paralysis through analysis or whatever they call it?
I think the first one is you delete your social media and you stop watching the news. I don't, like if you looked at my social media apps, I have like 12 friends on Facebook.
Right.
So, and then it's like my sister and a couple of, like, that's it. And I've hidden even a bunch of them because I don't like watching their news post stuff. If you go to my TikTok, which I know that's a 4-letter word in a lot of places, but if you go to there, it's like I'm watching like cooking videos and cat videos and little bear videos, stuff like that. It's nothing about what's going on right now. I'm probably one of the happiest guys you're ever going to meet and in a great headspace. And our business is just thriving. So it's one of those things where you got to shut all that stuff off because there's nothing that keeps eyeballs glued to it more than negativity. Yeah. Right. So people don't understand that. Like, that's what sells. There's 87 good things that happen today, and you want to focus on the one bad thing. And so if we cut the strings to that, and then we just start focusing on our pipeline, like build your pipeline. Like I was telling you, that one client of mine, she woke up one day, had no pipeline anymore, lost all her contracts and said, how do I fix this? I'm going to pivot. And she built a $40-50 million pipeline in 90 days. And now she's closing business. Right. And so we need to make those shifts, but it starts by stopping all the negativity and focusing on the good stuff that's out there. Because there's a lot of good stuff out there. You just have to look for it.
So you kind of said, turn off the negativity. What are the positive signs and green shoots that we're seeing ahead of quarter 4 here, heading into it? You mentioned a little bit of it, but if you could elaborate.
Yeah, as far as what's going on, we have a lot of money that needs to be spent in Q4. I guarantee it's going to be spent.
That's right.
Yep. Like if the government's good at anything, it's spending your money. And they will find
spending our money, not their money.
Spending our money. It's something they know how to do. And so I do believe we're going to see, it's not a massive spike. I think this year it might be a little higher. So maybe this year we'll see 30% of the budget being spent or something along those lines. But then the optimism for me is, so what's going to happen in Q1?
Yeah, that's right.
And Q2. Like instead of Q1 and 2Q being super quiet like they normally are, I think there's going to be more action there because while things were being paused and put on hold or whatever you want to call it, the mission still needed to happen. So we saw a lot of like 6-month extensions on contracts and things like that. So but the mission's still there. So I think come Q1, Q2, that's more exciting for me because I think Q1 and Q2 for the government for FY26 is going to have more movement than it traditionally does. And I don't think it's going to be near as quiet. Like I think contractors are going to be working and getting back to you and trying to move the needle a little bit more. So that's kind of where I think it's going. Obviously I can't guarantee that, but if I looked into a crystal ball, I'm like, well, there's so many contract extensions. I think we're going to get some movement in Q1. It's going to be a little more exciting than it normally is. So
well, but that doesn't that presume that people are getting ready now, right?
Yeah.
And thinking through their strategy and making the contacts and building their pipeline now so that they can take advantage of that uptick if we see it.
Exactly. Like the government moves at a very odd pace, and so do most of the contractors that work in it. So if you sell to the government, you think fast is 60 to 90 days. And as a person who also sells B2B, I'm like, fast is tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
Not 60 to 90 days. So people are taking time. They're sitting back. They're going to go on their vacation. They're going to be like, we don't know where the market is. And then come October, they're going to be blindsided by what's happened. And they're going to be blindsided in this calendar Q4 of like what's going on. So like if you're taking action now to be reaching out, talking to people, looking at conferences you need to go to, putting stuff in your pipeline, looking at the government forecast, looking at the president's budget, doing all those things you need to, you're going to be prepared for what the next year looks like. Because I think the next year is going to be pretty awesome.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And I think the guidance you gave us here today, Michael, is going to help a lot of our listeners just to at least take the next step and get better prepared. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is understand the 3 different mindsets. Focus on trying to be number 1, not number 2 or number 3. Prepare proactively for GSA, CMMC, and diversification. That's going to keep you from staying out of that struggle mode that we don't want to stay in. And then staying engaged until Q4, Q1, Q2 of next year and be proactively prepared for it.
And I'll tell people if there's only one thing that you can do to build your business, there's just one thing, it's relationships. If you can just focus on building relationships for the next 6 months, your business will not look anything like it's going to look so different than you ever imagined. And when I say focus on relationships, I don't mean 5 or 6. I don't even mean 20. It's like, look at building 100 relationships with people where all you do is go in relationship mode. You talk about CRMs, people forget about the R in the CRM. And if they can just focus on the R in their CRM and really focus on the relationships with everybody, even if it's not moving super fast right now, you just keep going back. There's an old marketing stat that says it takes 27 touches for someone to remember your company name. Most people give up after 3.
Yeah.
So be the company that puts on a 28 or 36 week campaign and just builds relationship and pounds them not only email, voicemail, but on social media. They're in their LinkedIn and they're just interacting with people. And that'll be the game changer if you do nothing else.
Right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate your insight today. I guess the last point would be make sure you read and listen to Michael LeJeune's podcast and his books.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, we really do appreciate you being here, and this is going to be an awesome awesome episode for our customers to listen to and our listeners.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you.
You too. And that wraps up this episode of the Survive and Thrive series on the Quality Hub podcast, where we unpack real-world insights and share practical strategies to help small businesses like yours. If you found these conversations helpful, share them with your colleagues, your network, or anyone who could use a boost of practical guidance. You can access all past episodes on our website at thecoresolution.com, and be sure to check out the podcast description for contact information on Core Business Solutions and our podcast guests. And remember, thriving in a changing world starts with knowledge and the courage to act on it. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep leading with clarity, resilience, and purpose. Have a great day.